Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2. It's a super mini mail call. Let's get right to it. This comes from Paul in, oh, it's really hard to read because of the label. It's a UPS label. It's not looking good. Somewhere in Texas. Hi to all my Texas viewers. I think I know what this is, but we got a note. And inside, yep, this is exactly what I thought it was. This is a memory expansion module for the Tandy MC10. The note reads, "Thanks again for all your great content you've shared with us over the years. I enjoy watching both your channels, and I've learned quite a few things along the way. As we discussed over email recently, enclosed you'll find a 16K RAM expander module for the TRS-80, sorry, I call it a Tandy, TRS-80 MC10 micro color computer. I plugged it into one of my MC10s and it properly shows the increased memory when a print mem command is issued. So I suppose it works fine, but I have not done any rigorous testing. I look forward to a future video that hopefully showcases the MC10 a bit more. Although it was a short-lived and ill-timed release by Tandy, the MC10 has some surprising capabilities under the hood. It's a fun little computer. P.S. This note was typed on a Tandy Color Computer 3 and was printed on a Tandy DWP 510 daisy wheel printer that is so loud it scares the dog." Well, awesome. Thank you very much, Paul, for that. This is my Tandy MC10, the micro color computer. What's awesome about this computer is it is designed to compete with something like the ZX81 or the Timex Sinclair 1000, but it has keys that have plastic buttons. So it is far easier to type on, but beyond that, it's actually color, hence the color computer. But very much like the ZX Spectrum, this thing only has, I think, like 2K of RAM. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what it has, but it's very slight when it comes to the actual amount of RAM that it has. So it really needs the expansion module or the RAM expansion module to do anything. And this just plugs into the back as like that. And even though Tandy added what looks like some holes so you could screw whatever it was onto the back so it wouldn't come loose, doesn't appear that this actually has a pass-through for those screws. That would be kind of cool because obviously one of the main issues with the ZX81 was the bad connection on the RAM module, and when you typed in your program and you bumped the computer, you lost everything. Now with some screws on the back, that would keep this from ever happening. I'm not sure if that was a common affliction of this particular computer. Now, the reason why Paul sent this in is because I knew I had this computer and I hadn't made any videos about it. And since I just done something on the Laser 200, a similar inexpensive color computer, and then the ZX81/Timex Sinclair 1000, I thought maybe it was time for me to do a video on the MC10, the micro color computer, because it definitely was in the same classification as those other machines. Very, very inexpensive home computer. Now, as Paul mentioned in his letter, the MC10 was only sold in North America for a very short time, and there is a version that is sold in France, and I don't know how popular that was, but I don't think it was really sold elsewhere. It's quite capable as a computer. Even though it is a TRS-80 computer, it is not a color computer, not exactly. Similar, but not exactly the same. Either way, it's really necessary to have this to do anything with this, and I only ever had the computer and never the expansion module. So I reached out to the Coco community via my friend Tim Lender, who put the message out that I was looking for one of these, and Paul stepped up and offered me one of his extras, and that's what we have here. So what I intend to do now that I have the ability to run some software on this thing, and yes, it does have cassette in and out on here, is I want to get this thing up and running. I need to make sure this thing works. If not, repair video, and once it's working, or if it does already work, then I want to try out some of the games and software that's on here and really talk about this computer in comparison to its contemporaries, the Laser 200 and the ZX81. So with all that said, I'm not going to test this memory expansion module right now. Paul said it works, so that's good enough for me. So I'm just going to keep these things together for when I make that video on this low-cost machine. I'm going to put Paul's name on the bottom here so that I remember that it came from him. Thank you very much, Paul, for sending in the RAM expansion module to make my MC10 a usable computer. All right, moving on, we have another package. This one comes from Mike in Pearland, Texas, another Texas package. So hi to all my Texas viewers again. Mike is the viewer that sent in all that Italian candy and the 2 Olivetti PC1s, along with a monitor and an F1 car and a t-shirt and all sorts of other stuff. And I'm pretty sure what this is a mouse that goes with the Olivetti PC1. Now, the mouse port on the PC1 is not just a normal serial port, even though it kind of looks like it. The yellow buttons, that matches the function keys on the PC1. That is so funny to see that. Anyways, it has the circuitry that interface directly to the video chip, which actually handles the mouse. As far as I'm aware, it is quadrature, I can almost never say that correctly, quadrature encoding. So very similar to the Atari ST and Amiga and stuff like that. I'm sure a simple adapter would be all that you need to convert one of those mice to work with this machine. But this is obviously the official mouse made by Logitech for the PC1. And I'm positive that Mike sent me another mouse that has the exact same case, but I think it was a regular serial mouse, a PC serial mouse. Not 100% sure, but yeah, it had like the regular Logitech branding on it. Looked identical otherwise. Let's see what the letter says. Ciao, Adrian, me again, Mike C. We have a real Olivetti PC1 mouse. Please just add this mouse to the last Olivetti boxes I sent you. No need to super mini mail call this. Well, too bad it happened anyways. This mouse showed up in the Italian marketplace just after I left Europe, so I couldn't bundle it with the monitor I sent you recently. Sorry about that. You guessed it. It needs some fixing. The vertical axis does not work. Now you can use the bus mouse from Super Mini Mail Call 93 for your AT&T 6300. Same quadrature mouse from Olivetti and same case. It just misses the AT&T logo. Interesting. Okay. Little trivia, did you know that one of the 3 founders of Logitech is a former Olivetti engineer? Also, Olivetti and HP were Logitech's first big contracts for their OEM mice. Live long and prosper. Vertical bad. Okay, I just wanted to leave myself a note so I can remember that when I get those PC1s fixed, that I can then work on this mouse as well. So I'll just stick this under there like so, and there we have it. An Olivetti mouse, a real honest to God Olivetti mouse. Very cool. Anyhow, thanks again, Mike, for sending in all the Olivetti stuff. And I finally have a cool mouse. So yep, like I said, this goes with the computer. So when I get to fix those, this will be there to fix and test as well, if it's fixable. Hopefully it is. If it's not, maybe I can harvest parts from something else to fix this thing. Okay, so we have a package here that comes from not Texas. This actually comes from Washington State. This comes from Dave Plummer. I was up in Seattle recently for the Seattle ICF. That is the Interim Computer Festival. It's like a mini VCF. And before I headed home, because it's just a few hour drive from Portland, I had a little bit of time to kill and I actually spent some time with Dave Plummer. We got to hang out and chit chat a little bit. And I'm pretty sure this is something that Dave has designed himself. So let's take a look at what this is. It's a fun LED project. Welcome to the Mesmerizer. If you purchase the Mesmerizer complete kit, it'll come pre-programmed. Oh, okay, so really nothing much to do here. Okay, so it's a really cool LED project, and yeah, Dave wanted to give me one, and meant to give it to me in person, but then that didn't happen because we were talking, and then I had to go because I was like, I gotta get home. Lots of traffic, and this is it. So we have an LED matrix display. I think these are relatively easily available from various Chinese retailers, which unfortunately means they will probably become much more expensive soon. At least in North America, that is. And we have what looks like an ESP32, I think a 32. Yeah, ESP32W Rover E. Don't remember all the specifics. There's so many different versions of that. So let me move this so it can focus on this board. So this obviously, the microcontroller is what drives the matrix board. And there it is, Mesmerizer, ESP32 version 1.0, Dave's Garage. There's a URL, which I'll put in the description below. Produced and assembled by JLC PCB. We have a USB-C jack, a couple 3.5 millimeters. Power, almost certainly these types of panels need a good amount of power, so it's probably not enough to go through USB. You probably have to power with 5 volts through that. And that should connect directly to the header as so. And actually, now I think about it, these boards typically get powered directly, or sorry, the panels, and that's what this little wiring header is. Oh, and you know what? If I just looked at the photograph, it looks like the panel is powered directly from this, which does get powered from USB-C. Cool. Looks like we have a little IR receiver. Right. Okay, so these aren't both audio. One says audio and that one says IR. So I can't easily plug this in because there's a little nipple there. Let's just cut that off. That should do the trick. Yep, there we go. For powering this up, I'm going to use a power bank. Here are the specifics. Charge ASAP Flash Pro Plus. I don't know about this thing. It does support 100-watt power delivery though on its main USB port, plus these other things. Has wireless charging for Apple Watch and whatever, this and this. Plus we have a little screen, and that flickering is just the camera. You can see the power use or power draw. So let's plug in this cable. See if it negotiates power delivery of any kind. No, I guess not. Not doing very much right now. 2.5 watts, 3 watts, 4 watts. Let's see if it's displaying anything. We have a light there. Oh yeah, look at that. Guess it has a microphone on it. So of course it's going to look way better in real life versus the camera. And that's because, I don't know, the contrast of the camera, it's just making the non-lit LEDs look much lighter than they do in person. But also the intensity of each of the smaller LEDs is really high and shows up very vibrantly in your eyes. If anything, a frosted piece of Perspex or something would probably go a long way to making it easier to film. So we'll see about the remote. Pop out the thing. So where's the little sensor? Okay, here it is. So let's see about the off and on. Nope, that doesn't even do anything. See if any of these things are doing anything. I'm not sure this is working. I'm pushing buttons and nothing. Yeah, I know my phone for sure does show something on the camera and I'm not seeing anything. Oh, okay. Well, that would be why. It had the little pull tab, which is right there, but it didn't actually have a battery. So it looks like a regular CR2032. So we'll just grab this Duracell. And now, well, I don't see it doing anything in the camera, but I noticed that this is now displaying something different. So clearly this does work. So let's see, what was that? What did I push? Nope. I don't think this is working. I mean, it obviously changed. So, okay, so there's the phone camera. Obviously that works. Oh, audio wave. I wonder if that just does it on its own. If that is just changing on a timer. Do I have the sensor plugged into the correct port? IR, it's in the IR port. So I see the microphone. That's cool. And let's just see if we repower it. I assume it's going to come back to that default state it was in a moment ago. Mesmerizer. Maybe I should go read the documentation. Might need to do that. I also don't know if this battery's dead. Oh, you know what? Maybe the battery's dead. I don't know. I have been known to take a battery that I took out of a motherboard or whatnot and accidentally put it back into the little stuff there for the battery. Oh no, 3.1 volts. It's fine. All right, I stepped away for a second and it changed. So it does change on its own. I went and grabbed another one of these remotes. I happen to have two. And the one that was upstairs is for this cube light projector thing, water on the ceiling. So that works, obviously. This one, let's try this remote. I'm assuming it's the same. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. Color. Yep. Okay, so the remote that came with the Mesmerizer works fine. So I guess the question is, what did I do wrong? Open the matrix, plug the board in, connect the power cable, plug the IR receiver dongle into the port labeled IR, plug USB-C into USB-C port, enjoy. You can operate the Mesmerizer over Wi-Fi, see night driver LED for more info on that, or with the included remote control. Oh, here we go. Effect up down, changes the current effect. Off, dims the display one step, hold for dimming, on, colors. Right. So we know the remote works. The effect up down are these light up down buttons. And I think this IR receiver is the problem. Because the remote is fine. Let's take the power off there and just check that it's plugged in all the way. Yeah, that's definitely in all the way. So it's a little hard to know if the issue is something with the board or with the IR receiver. Maybe I should pop this open, just make sure it's still not working. Oh, it works now. Okay. It was just simply a problem with the connection, I suppose. I just took it out and put it back on. So let's try the colors. Oh, that's freaking cool. Let me turn off some of the lights here. All right, so that's a little easier to see. So we got green fire. I mean, the colors are washed out. It's very, very vibrant in real life. I'm loving this, Dave. This is so cool. Let's see. So we can dim the whole display. That works. All the way to a very dim. Okay, so you can toggle the VU meters off and on. There, they're off now. And these are some of the other effects. Very cool. Let me turn off the workbench light here. Oh, does that look washed out in the camera? Yeah, I think it does. Maybe I should dim this down a little bit. Really, really cool. Banana Man. Does the color do anything for this? No. Okay. Only does it for the effects that actually have some color. Meta balls kind of shows how much power is in the ESP32, doesn't it? That these effects, these real-time effects, are easily possible. Supernova. Cubes. Oh, that one, the color works on that one. Life. I bet the color works on this. Yes, it does. Circuit. That one's just green. USA. Okay, this one uses the microphone. Oh, that's washed out looking in the camera. So, okay, Spectrum 1 and 2. Uses the talking. Wave in. So that's talking as usual. Wave out. Stars. Dave's Garage, 0 subs. Okay, so Dave, can we fix this to say Adrian's Digital Basement? And I can have it as a sub counter? That would be cool. I'm sure if I look at the web interface, maybe that is totally doable. That would be super cool. Can we change the color? No, you can't change the color. I love it. That one looks really cool. I mean, these look so much better in person than they do through the camera. It's just washed out and nah, it looks terrible. Terrible. Radial fire, liquid flow, powder, machine. This is really awesome. Star Deep. Very cool. Crystallized lines like the old screensaver. Circles, color rain, diffusion, color spin, Spyro, sunburst. There's a ton of effects here. Clock, obviously this will use Wi-Fi to set its time. Alien text, pulsars, bounce. I thought at first this would be like the Amiga ball, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Wave, swirl. It's funny what's going on with this line at the top here. It's like it's stuck. Turn the VU meters on and on, off and on. Yeah, for whatever reason, if I put the meters on, wait, which is the right? Okay, so the meters are on, maybe? There we go. Now the meters are on. But if I turn them off while it's animating, it just gets stuck there on this effect at least. But that's not on all the effects. That just seems to be on the Serendipity one. And swirl, I guess. Munch. Maze. I mean, there's a ton of these. Audiograph, Spectrum. We saw these audio waves. Radio wave. Back to Pac-Man again. The ping clock. Color ball. Oh, I love it. And the old fireplace one. Ghost wave. Yeah, okay. I think we've looped around now. Now, if you are curious about how much current is being pulled while something like this, which is pretty full screen, is showing up, 3 watts. I know these panels can go way brighter, so obviously the software that's on here is controlling the brightness a little bit, so it's not pulling too much current through the USB Type-C. I think the most I've ever seen is 4 watts. This can easily handle 10 watts through just a regular 5-volt 2-amp type of cable like that, no problem. All right, let's take a look at the software GitHub repo for this. So Dave Plummer LLC, Night Driver Strip, Mesmerizer kits, as described in this video, are featured in the background of many of Dave's videos. Now available for sale on eBay. Let's check out the store, the kit, the PCB, the LED display module, the remote, all that stuff, 129 bucks. But it does appear this is going to be open source. It says see copying for more information about the licensing. Yep, it's licensed under their GNU General Public License, so very cool. The documentation looks extremely thorough, and it looks like it's actually possible to drive the WS2812B LEDs as well, which is cool. Those are just easily available. So it seems like you can go far beyond just the one panel that Dave included with this package. I'm just taking a look at all the various Wi-Fi features. Turn on Wi-Fi, enable the web server, time before local, NTP, OTA updates. Looks like you have display options for OLED displays and LCD displays, maybe to show status, connected information, stuff like that. Looks like you can add new effects to it if you're good at software development. You can alter the effects list. So if you don't like some of these effects, you can take them out. Dave links to various things you can buy to expand this, like some of the strips, 144 pixels per meter. Other types of modules you can use with it, 16 by 16 LED matrix, 3 per spectrum analyzer, infinity mirror. Well, that's cool. And it looks like for reflashing this thing, if you want to alter things, it's actually really easy. You connect it to your computer using USB, and then we just use this. Well, let's give this a test. Okay, so it's plugged into my computer. What do we pick here? Ooh, maybe I should have looked at the directions a bit better. Connect to your computer, USB, navigate to the following URL. It should show a screen that looks like this. Select the device M5 Stick C Plus. Okay, MC Stick C Plus. And then we have a bunch of different projects to pick from. Enabled features, N, Wi-Fi, W, web server, S for sockets, C for color data server, and R for IR remote control. I think what I'm not clear on is what code is loaded onto here now. I don't want to change anything up. I'm going to spend a moment just to try to comprehend the directions. I want to get this hooked up to my Wi-Fi so I can use the web server that's on there. Okay, well, I read a little bit more, and I think I just have to reinstall the firmware because it's going to ask me about the Wi-Fi information after I do this. So I'm just going to install one called Fan Set. It looks like it's just working. Confirm installation. Preparing the install. So currently it's animating on there. It hasn't done anything on the display yet, but I assume if I pick the right COM port, once it starts communicating with it, then whatever's going on here will stop. Failed to initialize. Try resetting your device by holding the boot button while clicking install. That could easily be that I picked the wrong COM port. Yeah, part of the problem is I have a bunch of COM ports on this machine. I need to see which one goes away when I unplug this. Which of those ports is it? It's going to be 16 or 17. Oh, 16 and 17. All right, I was trying to load fan set. We hit connect. Asked me for the COM port. I'm going to try 17. I don't know. Oh, this is better. Oh, yeah, much better. Okay, let me just connect to Wi-Fi as it is. All right, I was able to type in my SSID and password. Now it's trying to connect, apparently. Okay, it doesn't appear to be working. It's telling me it can't connect to the Wi-Fi. So I will fiddle around with this a little bit and try to figure out what exactly is going wrong. All right, I spent a little bit of time fiddling around and I did figure it out. I did end up reflashing the firmware on this. It seemed the firmware that was on here was trying to connect to Dave Plummer's Wi-Fi, IoT devices, something like that. And one time I was able to get it to connect to my own Wi-Fi, but then when I rebooted the device, the screen, it would go back to trying to connect to Dave's. So I reflashed the firmware over USB through that web interface, very easy. And then once that was done, I was able to set the Wi-Fi up to my Wi-Fi. And well, this is what you're looking at. This is the web interface for the device itself. And if you notice, I've configured this now to show the subs for my channel. Adrian's Digital Basement subs, 226,533 at the time or making of this video. And using the web interface, which I'm doing off camera, I can switch the modes. So I went and disabled a bunch of the effects that I didn't love. I just kept a few of them. And oh, there's the subscriber one. Now it'd be nice if you could have text on 2 lines, but you can't. That's just the effect name that fades away. And all we have is this top line available to us. You can change the colors, which I did. And these are the various effects that are set up on here. And it will rotate through these. And it does it in linear fashion. So it's just one after another. But you can configure how long each effect stays on the LCD screen or on the LCD panel for. And ultimately, I have the subscriber one stay up the longest, since it'd be nice to just run this off to the side and be able to glance over and see how many subs I have, but otherwise it will have some cool LED effect on it. And the web interface has some stats for CPU and whatnot, and these are the effects. And this is a countdown timer of how much is left for subscribers. And you can just hit play on any of these. And I have it not showing the disabled effects, but these are all the disabled effects. So you can configure some of these. Some of them have some particular sounds. Plus you can configure some of the other options on the device itself, like your postal code for the weather widget that can show up on here. There is 24-hour clock, Celsius for the temperature, current effects. You can set the power limit. So I guess if you want to have it be brighter than it currently is, it's currently set for, I suppose, 4.5 watts. And that's what there was in there. It looks like we can reboot the device, reset the effects. And I think there's other firmware you can run on here too. There's just all sorts of stuff you can do with this, which I have to admit is freaking cool. And of course I can still change this. And these are only the effects that I have enabled, if I use the remote that is, to change them. The whole thing is awesome. I'm really impressed. I like it a lot. So thank you, Dave Plummer, for sending this over to the basement. It's going to look awesome. I'm going to find a good spot for it. I have to figure out where to mount this exactly, and it will look super cool, showing those awesome, cool effects with those vibrant LEDs that this thing has on it. If you want to pick one of these up yourself, I'll put a link to Dave's eBay store, and I'll put a link to the GitHub repo down in the description below, so you can check it out yourself. All right, let's move on to another package. This one comes from Jason in San Francisco. So hi to all my California viewers. If you can believe it, looking at the label, this package is from 2023. So Jason, I'm very sorry about that. I don't know how this one is so old. I hope there's no food in here or candy because it may not be good anymore. All right, we have a note and oh no, there is a little bit of candy in here. It's probably still good. Let's see about the date. Well, it does say it expired in 2023. I'm just gonna try a piece here. These are wine gums, which are some of my favorites, and they taste absolutely fine. And one of the big reasons why is down here in the basement, the temperature is always about 20, 21 degrees Celsius, around 68 to 70 degrees. Plus, of course, it was in a box, it was dark, it was not exposed to any light, so it's okay. Under the candy, there was a manual. It looks like Cyrillic writing, pretty sure. So is this a Russian computer? And in fact, I noticed the box itself has Cyrillic writing on the side. So this is pretty darn curious. So yes, I think we have some kind of Soviet Union era computer, I'm assuming. Wow, 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 wow. There's a little package here. Oh, it's a tape. Maybe we have mathematics training or tutor tape. No, not mathematics, tape recording or tape cassette. That was kind of switching back and forth between both. So we have a small computer. We have an expansion port, some DIN connectors. Nothing on that side, nothing on that side. How about on the bottom? Is this a date code from October of 1994? Serial number 9903. We have what looks like an external power supply. And as I mentioned, we have the manual for the computer, which appears to go into decent details, which someone has crossed out some of this, as to what the ports are, how to hook up the power supply. I'm absolutely loving the fact that someone has crossed out sections of the manual, and then there are corrections that have been glued directly into the manual, I guess for different revisions of the computers, or maybe there were errors. But there's the RGB output. I think what's happening here is it's combining the RGB and video signal into some kind of a combination or composite type video. Looks like 220 volts with the power supply plugged into the computer. Maybe we have a monitor and the cassette drive or player, I'm assuming. Yeah, that looks like magnetic or magnetic tape in Russian. Definitely appears this runs a version of BASIC. We have English keywords: run, enter, continue, stop, save, test one, start the tape, press any key. I'm half assuming this is a clone of maybe a ZX Spectrum. It looks like we have another date from November of 1994. These seem to be certifications or maybe like registration for the computer. Oh, a whole bunch of them. I'm sure there are people watching who can probably explain what some of this in the back of the book is. We have some type-in BASIC programs. It does appear that the character set for BASIC does at least support Cyrillic, even though it's using English keywords. There's a border command, paper command, bright, and flash. Now, if we compare the keyboard on this machine to the ZX Spectrum, notice it says space break, symbol shift for the shift keys, cap shift matches this key there. And if we look at the legends on all the keys that are overloaded, like the J key has load, val, and val $, which completely matches what's on this. So this is almost certainly going to be some kind of a clone of the ZX Spectrum. Now, of course, the letter from Jason might reveal all, so let's take a look at that. October 2023. Hey there, Adrian. After your adventures with the unauthorized Apple II clone, I thought you might enjoy another clone, which is almost certainly not authorized or maybe copied late enough that it didn't matter. Allow me to present the Olympic S and something in Russian. This is a Ukrainian computer that I believe is a Sinclair Spectrum clone. This particular unit is post-Soviet manufacture. Yeah, October 1994, that's what I was thinking. But looking inside, you'd never know it. The construction of the machine is almost comically primitive, and it's also pretty clear that they sometimes just use whatever parts they happen to have on hand. For example, check out the panel mount DIN jacks with flying leads to connect to the PCB. Even though the PCB has footprints for standard through-hole jacks, I have another unit that's just a few months newer than this one, and it has the proper PCB mount type. Also note the hand-graved and hand-painted connector labels on the back. On my other unit, they're hand-painted but not engraved. And pay special attention to the manual. It makes the phrase cut and paste really come to life. As you'll notice the amusing edit on page 3, letting you know that the YK connector, which isn't really explained very well in the manual, is not present on this particular unit. As for the labels on the back, here's a translation. Power unit, joystick. What kind of joystick? Who knows? Color TV, system bus, and magnetophone or tape player recorder. Pages 8 and 9 provide some information about the video output, although I think you could safely ignore what's on page 9 with the pin out of the DIN connector on page 8, or 3 of the pins are obvious, but pin 1 is synchronization signal, and pin 2 is best translated as common. I assume a sync signal uses CCAM timing, but I guess confirming this is all part of the adventure. Page 10 provides some information about the cables. TLDR, the cable with 3 DIN connectors is for the tape recorder, and the black cable with 2 DINs is for video, and the white cable with the extra sheath is for the power. The cables have, again, hand-painted markings that match the diagram near the connectors. The same 5-pin DIN connector is used for everything, so please make sure not to cross the streams. I have a copy of the schematic, but it's in Russian and uses Soviet designation for all the logic ICs. A friend of mine who is native Ukrainian and Russian speakers is working with me to redraw the schematics in KiCad with cross-references for equivalent standard US TTL parts. In the meantime, I've sent you a link to the original schematics in your Patreon messages, which I'll have to dig up. Please exercise caution when lifting the power supply. I would feel terrible if you hurt your back. It's pretty heavy. There's a big transformer in there, obviously. I hope you and your viewers find this little artifact interesting. And as always, thanks so much for all the excellent content that you produce for all of us to enjoy. I really look forward to your videos every week. Please also enjoy the bonus item procured from my local British cheese shop. Keep the rubber side down and the magic smoke inside. Sincerely yours, Jason. Thank you, Jason. I can't believe it took me so long to get to this. I'm really sorry about that, Jason. I really thought everything that was left in my big box of stuff there was at least from 2024, not from 2023. Okay, well, I opened up the bag of cables, and these are all the cables that Jason mentioned we had. And as mentioned, they are all just a standard 5-pin DINs, which is hilarious. Now, one thing about this that's wild is the keyboard. The feel of this, it just feels like there's big springs in there. And it's all springy, like you can hear the springs doing stuff. And notice how the keys are kind of haphazard. The keys do move up and down relatively smoothly, but they're very stiff. There's a lot of force you have to push down on them. And some are kind of crunchy feeling, like that one. The whole thing is, shall we say, primitive. Now, up, down, left, right's interesting because that is not any kind of keys that you have on this machine. Now, there are these keys which you have to push, I think, shift to use or something like that. So maybe when you push these, it just has the equivalent of pushing the arrow keys, which are also right there. Look at the back. These are the hand-printed legends that Jason mentioned. And yes, they are engraved and painted by hand. Let's look a little closer. Yeah, I can imagine some worker in a factory just hand painting those in there. And then these DIN jacks, they're like at an angle and just screwed in. This is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. That one too. Now, all the screws that hold this together are just flat blade. We're gonna have to open this thing up because I don't think I am actually ready to turn this thing on. I think that'll deserve a main channel video where I kind of try to explore this machine a little bit better. And even though people might be disappointed a little bit, that lines up with other such machines. I have the East German computer, which is actually over here on the shelf that a viewer sent in a while back. There's another Russian computer as well that I have, as I have 2 of these, and I haven't turned on any of these yet. This machine and those 2 that I just mentioned are all way too interesting to just quickly show off. They need dedicated videos because there's a lot to learn, not to mention they don't really understand, well, the language, so there's a translation barrier. But beyond that, I think there's just a lot to try to learn about them. So, screws are out. There were 6 of them holding the cover on. Okay, keyboard is attached to the top cover. So I gotta look to see the best way to open this. Ah, wow, wow. Look at the construction. That is freaking amazing. I was gonna try to unplug the keyboard, but it looks like it's actually, like, I don't even know how it's really connected. So I think we're just gonna have to look at this from the side, and I'll just do the same so we can look at the other half of the computer. You notice there are pin headers for an additional expansion connector, which is not populated, or there isn't a hole in the back of the case. These are those flying leads from those DIN jacks, which have to have little holes drilled in the case with these little spacers. Yeah, I've never really seen any kind of bypass caps like this. I just love this. Also, look at this wire here with the glue. It just goes from there to there. Why? I don't know. And definitely we can see that there are footprints on board for the DIN jacks. So I suppose I could replace those, but you know what? That's going to work fine. Now the keyboard connections, they seem to be glued on. That's why I didn't want to pull them off yet, but look at this. I guess these are just labels for each of the signal wires. Now moving this to the other side, we have a real Zilog Z80. So that's a Western part, not a clone. There were, of course, clones, I think made in Ukraine, but also other countries in the old Soviet Union for the Z80. And that was not used. I guess by '94, they were able to get their hands on the real deal. The system has a speaker, so that's a much better speaker than that's on the original ZX Spectrum. More ROMs or RAMs or something. I don't know. More of this pink glue. I think the whole thing is just wild. And look how the keyboard's connected. Is that a DIP IC socket? I'm not sure. I didn't want to just pull that out because both of these look like they're in regular sockets. Not 100% sure. Now these two ROMs I'm noticing, they do have stickers. So those are EPROMs of some type from 1994. Underneath the speaker appears to be some caps and crystal oscillator. So the master clock for the whole computer, I suppose. I'm just looking to see if there are any other Western ICs on here, and it doesn't appear so. Now the construction quality is absolutely wild. It really is. Okay, and there's the keyboard. Got some diodes, power LED, and a very meticulously wrapped cable. Look at that. All right, I put those screws back in just loosely, not too tight. Don't want to stress the old plastic. And that's for this giant power supply. Don't really need to open this up. I can just see there's a large transformer, probably capacitors, looks like a heatsink of some kind, so a linear regulator. And on this, we have a very chunky power switch, on off, LED, 1 amp fuse, I suppose. And there is a DIN jack, an actual PCB mount DIN jack. I assume this is some discoloring from heat, but maybe not. But it does look like actually there's a heat sink in there. And on this side, just the power cord goes into it. The plastic itself feels very scratchy and plasticky and cheap feeling, both on the computer and on the power supply. Power supply is even more than this, but this definitely feels kind of flimsy. And as for our magnetic tape, let's see if there's anything written in here. Looks like this is from 1993, but nothing was written on the inside of the card. And here's the actual cassette. Had a label at some point, but it came off. Well, I guess it was the same label on both sides. I did a quick search for Olympic S, and here on oldcrap.org, look at the monitor. I love this. Wow, that is cool. So there's a version of the computer that's got a light color case and a dark color power supply that's sort of swapped around on this one. There's that same keyboard though, the same wobbly looking keys, just like this one. Back panel, which has an opening for, I suppose, another expansion port. The one in these photos appears to be from 1993, so a year old, or no, a year newer. And the number is 5185, and this one is 9906. So we're making a lot of these, I suppose, at that point. Original box, looking awesome. Ah, there's the whole original box. There's the logo, which we saw when I was looking in the back pages of the manual, or even right here on the manual has that logo as well. Cool. Oh, look, they have pictures of the inside as well, and it has the panel mount-ins. I don't recall seeing this on my machine. Speaker looks completely different. It's covering up the CPU, so we can't tell if this one has a Zilog part or not. Oh, look, it has a Gold Star CPU. Freaking cool. Oh, these are the keyboard connections. Ah, backside of the board also has some wires running across it. Oh, and a teardown of the keyboard. This website's pretty comprehensive. I like their high-res photos they have. So we can kind of see how it looks on the inside. There are those plungers, I suppose. And it is stabilized though. Did you see that? We have stabilizers for at least the enter key and the space bar. So I guess the springs are what make it so springy. There's the springs. Oh, there's two springs, inside and an outside spring. And Old Crap has amazing photos of the cables and the power supply on the inside. So there's a heatsink, which I think browned the outside of the case. Okay. Interesting how the color scheme of the power supply completely changed, and this one does have what looks like a real fuse holder, unlike the one I have on the bench here. So these are the diodes, definitely. What a strange package. And that's because I think there was a photo somewhere here of the back of the heatsink. There it is, 5-volt regulator. And here's a website on the computer, and it does say that it has 48K of RAM. Oh, and this photo has that Z80 clone. Cool. You know, I think a lot of people in North America here are aware of the ZX Spectrum, just because recently there are lots of videos and things on it, but I don't think people are aware of how many clones there actually were. It was prolifically cloned all over the place. Lots and lots and lots of them. And then, of course, we get to USSR/Russia, and I think, again, wow, absolutely extensive list of clones. Just amazing, absolutely amazing. Look at this one, the Rita, it's called. I love how that looks. You know, when people look at the ZX Spectrum, they probably don't think that you could bring the cost way down below what the price of the ZX Spectrum itself was and cheap out on the quality of everything. And I think that's what was happening with a lot of these clones. I wonder what this is. Is that a built-in antenna or like a book holder? Anyhow, what a freaking cool machine. It just looked so darn awesome. This really reminds me I need to get working on the East German machine and the other Russian computer I have, which is not a ZX81 or ZX Spectrum clone. I think it's its own thing, but the build quality on that is quite similar, and basically I absolutely love it. So Jason, thanks so much for sending in this awesome computer, and it's fully complete. I can't wait to dig into this thing. Sorry it took so long for me to open the package, but at least I did. I didn't lose it, so that's a good thing. Dave Plummer, thanks very much for sending in the Mesmerizer. Thank you very much, Paul, for sending in the memory expansion unit for the MC10, and a huge thanks to Mike C for sending in the mouse for the Olivetti PC1, so I'll have the complete set when it comes to that machine. If you enjoyed this video, thumbs up would be appreciated, but if you didn't, you know what to do. All the usual YouTube's junk. Thanks to my supporters. They make it possible to do this full time. There's a link down below if you want to become a supporter yourself. Sorry to everyone who sent stuff in and it's been sitting around for years, as this machine has. I really am trying to get through the backlog, which is why there's just been a lot of Super Mini Mail Call episodes, one after another recently. I'm just really trying to clear out the backlog. I may end up doing some kind of like Super Mail Call episode, although it's just not my style to open up a package and be like, oh, look, a cool Russian computer, and then just move on to the next thing. Although obviously if I did that, I'd be able to open up everything and then go back, make full videos about stuff. So anyways, if you have thoughts about that, comment down below. And I guess that's gonna be that. So stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.